My name is Jill Coyle, and from years of experience as a divorce attorney, I know for a fact that no one dies from divorce. The experts and I are here to show you how to not only survive, but thrive during the most difficult times. Welcome to another episode of No One Dies from Divorce. I'm excited about our episode today. I have a special guest, Katy Clark. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Jill. Your topic is very relevant in my business, so I'm excited to talk about it.
Yes. So we are talking about dating with Katy, and I love this. So old school standards with new school style. We're going to be talking about what that means. And I kind of want to introduce Katy because she's perfect for our podcast, because not only is it relevant into what she's doing today, but she also has a personal story of divorce. So Katy, she's proclaimed by the LA Times as Jane of all trades. I love that. Katy Clark truly blends all her talents of fashion, wellness, and love into serving her clients. She's been seen on the Food Network, Star, Shape Magazine, America's 50 Hottest Trainers, and multiple news segments. She owned an award-winning restaurant in China, held the title of Mrs. Long Beach, founded a kid cooking program, and finished her marathon in 3 hours and 7 minutes.
Yeah.
You're amazing. You're amazing. After 10 years of working with exclusive clients at, is it Sync?
It's Sync. Yeah. Sync matchmaking.
Sync matchmaking, Katy realized there was a need for singles to understand the market and themselves better. Her vibrant personality, success in her own dating life, and love of healthy relationships led her to create Dating with Katy. With her many dating strategies, she helps her clients be confident, successful, and have fun dating. Katy encourages old school standards with new school style. Her courses, How to Be the Best First Date He's Ever Had, Fashion Boot Camp, and 7 Steps to Sexy. And then family time with their 3 kids, including paddleboarding, hiking, and searching for culinary delights. As she say, we stay busy with the good stuff.
Right.
Oh my gosh, Katy, I feel like we're probably bred from a little bit of the same cloth. If we're not busy, something's wrong.
Yeah. And you have one more child, I believe.
I have 4.
Yes. And I have 3. But ironically, all my kids are now out of my house. So that's even a new stage of being single, post-divorced, no more kids at home. I mean, that's a whole nother topic, is empty nesting. It's
oh my gosh.
weird.
I don't know. I dream about that sometimes. Like being a divorce attorney, I sometimes daydream about what it would be to have my kids 50-50. I don't want to divorce my husband. So, but I think about all the stuff I could do for myself, you know?
It's true. It's true. And my son just came home. My son and daughter were home for the night from college last night. And they come in the house and they say, Mom, the house is so clean. I'm like, yeah, because you're not here. It's just me. And it's all clean and cute. And they're like, oh, okay. They always thought it was me, that I was the one keeping the house dirty, but
I know. Well, and I work from home now, which I have never done in my, 16 years of my career. Never thought that I would enjoy it, but I actually feel like the hour and a half that I was commuting to work, I now have put back in my home as well. So I feel like even now, I'm way more organized. I'm able to have my house a little bit cleaner. So working from home has been kind of a change for the good for me.
The only thing, I work from home as well, technically, but I just miss dressing up. I used to work in fashion, so I have the best wardrobe. And, obviously with Zooms, all you see is here up, but I do miss dressing up. But again, that's what dating's for, and going out and about and pursuing new clients and meeting fabulous singles. So I love that as well.
That's good. I know I always look good because I'm on the camera all day long up here, but you don't know. I have my slippers on right now.
Yeah, I got mine too. I've got them on too.
Anyways, I love what you do. So it's kind of funny because we secretly joke around Coyle Law as a divorce attorney that I feel like I could be the next millionaire matchmaker. I understand personalities really, really well. I understand the psychology that goes behind what I believe could be like the perfect match. And so I always say, like, as soon as I like get to a place in my life, that's going to be my like job. I'm going to do what you're doing. Basically, I'm going to coach on dating and helping you understand what it means to be, find happiness within, be satisfied in who you are, and then finding somebody to complement that. So I'm actually a little bit like fangirling a little bit because I'm super jealous of what you do every day.
I mean, it's just like you, it's fun, but it's challenging. And I love in your book, I mean, your very first chapter is like, should you like, don't get divorced if you don't need to. Like, I'm on that team with you. Like, it's this market, the grass is always greener. No, it's got to be watered. It's fake half the time. I mean, I always say is dating with Katy. And again, I'm dating with Katy and the company I work for is Sync, but I always say of the 100% of people that are out there dating, 80% are junk. Literally, they shouldn't be dating. They haven't done the inner work. They aren't financially stable. They're going to ghost you. So it's hard for that 20% of quality people to deal with. It gets old and exhausting. And I have it's my podcast number 2 of my entire podcast because it's so important. It's my 4 foundations of dating, and mental fortitude is hard. You have to have it in dating. And you even speak about it, even for people who want to get divorced. They're like, oh, I want to get divorced. It's still hard to get divorced. It was hard to get divorced. It was driving down the freeway, tears, thinking I should pull over because I can't even see. I mean, I remember my divorce and it's not easy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm actually living that with my brother. My brother got divorced this year. Hope he's not mad about me talking about it, but I kept just looking at him as the divorce attorney of the family saying, have you really thought about this? Like, it's not going to be as easy and now he's, I think 6 months out and he's feeling it.
Yeah.
The effects of the dating scene and what that means. And he keeps thinking, man, I'm a good guy. Like, why are these girls, acting this way? Or why do they go on one date and don't want anything else? And I'm like, because most of the people aren't ready to get in a relationship that you're meeting. So I'm going to have him call you.
Yeah.
Because I've already decided he needs your help in what he's going through, because he's a really great guy. He's an eligible bachelor. He has 3 young kids that, he needs to be able to get into the space.
Yeah.
Like you said, to be able to meet that person, be ready for that person that's ready to meet him. So I want to go back a little bit about your story because you're divorced. So I want to kind of hear a little bit about that. And then is that kind of what got you into, dating with Katy or what led you here?
Well, it's a fun story. So I lived in China. I got married very young, I should say. Had 3 kids quickly in that process. Did not start a career, although I have 2 college degrees in sociology and Spanish, which is something to this day I want to make sure my kids start a career so they're confident in that space in case they ever got divorced, which of course we are not promoting. So and you'll see later in my story the struggle of not having a career and coming out of a divorce going, oh my gosh, now what, right? College degrees, but people are like, and what'd you do the last 12 years? So my ex-husband and I, we actually moved to China. We lived there for 7 years. He did, we did like nonprofit work there. It was great. We had planned to live there for the rest of our lives. So I was this ride or die kind of woman, where I moved all my scrapbooks, everything had moved with us to China. Like we were going to die in China, right? I speak some decent Chinese. My kids were going to Chinese school, little blonde, curly haired kids in Chinese school. But it just, we were in the ministry and you don't talk about that kind of stuff and the struggles of it. And, we're living abroad and, we come home and we're the cute, perfect family. And it is hard. It's very hard. And I can tell you that I lost my voice in my marriage. I just thought, I'm going to quit. I'm going to quit like speaking up. And I mean, there's that fine line as a woman that you struggle with. Am I nagging or am I sharing my need? Am I nagging or am I sharing my need? And so I think I just lost my voice and I lost my backbone and I just acquiesced. And it ultimately, we came back because our marriage was going downhill. And I actually applied for the next Food Network star in China. I had owned a restaurant. I love people and I love hospitality. So how better than to bring them together than to bake some cheesecakes, have some hamburgers and, keep it in an American clean environment in China, in the middle of nowhere, China. And people are like, oh my God, I'm coming. We literally used to have people like from an hour away from the airport drive to our restaurant because they heard our food was so good or so Western. They're like, we had a layover, but we needed this food because we're, tired of Chinese food. So when I came back, I started a kids cooking company, and that's how I got on the Next Food Network Star. And that was kind of pivotal. He said, you go on the show, I'll divorce you. And it was kind of like, it was just that struggle. And my mom was like, be done. It's fine. You're still young. Sometimes you strategize like, I'm still young. There's a window.
Yeah.
It's good and bad. I mean, let's be honest. Divorce at any time is not good. And my kids were very small then. I did go on the show. I got voted off a little bit early. I was a little stressed while on the show because he did serve me divorce papers directly after the show. But I was coming out and I always had little small businesses that I did. I was never an income earner, and we were okay with that. So our divorce though was miserable, and it was just dragged out, and he wanted full custody, stating I wasn't a good mom. And I think that was just anger. And you speak about that.
Yeah.
And I even went through that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You were like, that's it. I'm going to take you out. Right. And I was put on the stand. He tried to call 9 people in to witness against me. At the time, I was actually Mrs. Long Beach. I just won a beauty pageant as a married woman. And now I'm getting a divorce. It was miserable. It was absolutely miserable. And we had to, nesting. We had to do nesting. I had to go back and live with my parents. What I'm thinking? I have 2 college degrees. I speak 3 languages, and this is my life right now. I'm in my 30s. It was rough, and then am I a good Christian anymore? Like questioning my faith and questioning who I am as a person. That was the hardest part. And then seeing these little kids, and then you only get 50% of their life now. That's it. And, you'd like to think that your ex-spouse will be flexible on some things, but sometimes they're not.
Right.
Like I just had to kind of not duke it out, but just kind of like play thumb war for a little extra time at Christmas. Cause one of my sons moved to Europe with his dad. So I'm like, can I have a little extra time? Cause he's coming back. I mean, still it's just 12 years later. So all of this to say, moving forward, I struggled with a job. I always wanted to drop my kids off and pick them up. So I worked in retail. I worked the mom hours. You don't make a lot of money during the mom hours, but I got to pick up and drop off my kids. And I will tell you, it was worth every minimal paycheck. Making ends meet was always a little hard. My kids and I lived, we lived in a nice, wealthy neighborhood. We had rented from a friend before. Well, we had to move out of that. And my kids all lived in a 2-bedroom apartment, and they all slept in one room together for 5 years. And you know what? My kids are besties to this day.
Yeah.
And I will say this. I was the poor single mom in a wealthy neighborhood, but all my kids got straight A's. My kids were hard workers. They had me. They didn't have a nanny. They had me. And I think that really made a difference in my kid's life. And I did lots of odds and ends. So the Jane of all trade, literally, you name a job I have done. I've been a Disney character, and I have been a private chef. I have worked at the highest of high-end fashion. I mean, you name it, I'll do it. I'll do it to make ends meet. But that kind of takes a toll on your, you're like, wait, I thought I was this confident woman. So I did date. And I'm a believer. I'm curious what you think. Once people serve papers, I believe they have the right to date, because divorce takes so long. I mean, it can take years. So,
absolutely. And then people that come back and they're like, oh, they're having an affair because you were separated and now they're going out to date. Yeah. Moving on and getting past this grief cycle, getting to acceptance, getting past anger actually helps with the best, reasonable divorce settlements. But
yeah, well, that's on your end.
It takes 2 people to settle a divorce. If you're not going to settle a divorce, then the court has to do it. And that you're absolutely right. Could take years.
And mine took years, and it was a lot of money. My parents, as my dad always likes to say, he paid for my first wedding, my first divorce, my first college education, and that's it. And at the time, my ex and I had zero for money, and I actually had to buy our minivan. It had 180,000 miles on it. The court ordered me to purchase it from him for $500. And there's a lot of grandiose ideas that you're going to get all this money, but guess what? I got my ex, and it was smart of him. He did a vocational evaluation on me, and I'm a college educated woman. The court's going to say, well, go get a job. Although my heart's like, I have children here. I got $300 a month total family support. So I got taxed on it. So I was not coming out with champagne life. Some of these, I guess where I live, some of these women have a champagne life, but it is not. Most of my girlfriends, it's a struggle. So
yeah,
So that's hard. But you reinvent yourself. And I always like to think I kind of went from frumpy because as I was married to him, I was just kind of this like, stay at home. Like I just kind of let myself go. So I like to think this whole glow up, as my daughter calls it, is I went from frumpy to fabulous.
I love it.
And I was a believer in the 50-50 because he was a good dad and I was a good mom. And so we ultimately, after 2 years of fighting, because he won a full, we got it. And we did a 2-2-5, which I think is the best schedule for dating. I'm just going to say this now. Anybody, the week on, week off, not good for dating. 2-2-5 is amazing. And so I always knew my Monday, Tuesday were date nights, Wednesday, Thursday were mom nights, and every other weekend. And it worked out great for dating. And I think I saw on TV once somebody was saying about matchmaking, and I Googled matchmakers in LA. I got in every single database, and because I was cute, because I was fit, fun, and feminine, I got dates. They were putting me on dates like this. And those are my 3 things, ladies. That's what men are looking for. They're not looking for younger. They're not always even looking for prettier. They want someone who's fit, who takes care of herself, who's fun, and who's feminine. A lot of these older women that I work with, they're like, oh, these guys like younger girls. I go, no, it's just because they're not bitter. They're not working about all the bad stuff. So I literally went on a date for sync matchmaking at the time. I met the owner at a bowling with one of the dads from school. And she's like, you're cute, get in the database. And she put me on a date with Ted. Ted is still single to this day. He needs my help. Great guy. He just can't focus. And I said, at the time I was like, oh, I should do this. I'm quite an entrepreneur, but I learned that everything I do by myself, I need a team. It's so much easier with the team. So after going on a date with Ted, I literally said to them, look, it seems like your market is me. I'm a divorced woman in my late 30s and up. And all these matchmakers at this company were like young 20-year-old girls, which is cute. I mean, they can get the business, but they didn't understand the business. They didn't understand divorced people and how their schedules have to work. And so I asked if I could come on the team, and we found that I did a lot of coaching for our clients because these girls, they'd never even been married. What do they know? So a lot of that kind of stemmed from helping them. I got a lot of clientele in when I was working in food and fitness and fashion. So all these women, I'd be like, you need to get in the database. And sure enough, and I'll go up to anybody, be like, okay, you look amazing. You seem like fun. Will you get in my database? And then from there, it's just kind of during COVID, one of the things I realized is we can put somebody on a first date, but can they get a second date? I mean, all my job is to get you quality singles and introduce you. But we had this one girl, nobody wanted a second date.
I want to talk a little bit more about your 3 F's: fit, fabulous, and what did you say?
So I believe what men are really looking for is fit. So that's fit in your own. You don't have to look me. We have to keep yourself well. And honestly,
that's what I wanted to talk about, because I think when people hear that and they look at you, the first thing they think is, oh, I've got to go on a diet.
Yeah.
And I assumed that was not what you were saying. Like, fit means being confident in who you are. Like, I'm a big girl. I always been a big girl, but I'm confident in my body size and who I am. And that's what they're looking for. There's a lot of guys out there. There's been tons of studies, and maybe you can say that they don't want a skinny girl. They don't need that. They want. And when you say take care of yourself, exactly, just like does their hair and make sure that, they take showers every day, which sometimes when you're going through a divorce or going through some trial, that's really hard to do. Like, you just don't want to do it, like sweatpants and, Crocs sound like a good idea all the time. But when you're trying to put yourself out there, it's time to get, put the sweats and the Crocs away. And it's time to have a little bit of confidence and put a little effort in you.
And that's a 2.0. And let me tell you, again, this is what I tell ladies: fit, but that goes across the board. And in my 4 foundations, you need to be physically strong. I call it, some of these I just use for alliteration or whatever, but I'm a big believer that when you feel healthy and good about yourself, it will show. And that's by taking the time to go to the gym. I've never met somebody who's healthy that was like, this whole healthy thing really doesn't make me feel good about myself. And nobody ever. So I have clients where I can tell, they send me a photo of them a year ago and I'm like, what's the difference? Why are you 20 pounds heavier? Because it's always a deeper issue, right? There's always some sort of insecurity and so it's just choices. So just go make better ones, and I always am a coach. I'm not a therapist. I'm not going to listen and be like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, no, you want to be better at basketball? We need to start shooting more. We need to start doing 100 3-point shots every day to get better at what you want. And so It is the market. And it's interesting. People want like a healthy, fit person. And then I'm like, well, show me your 6-pack abs. Yeah. So
Right. That's exactly what I want to point out too, is it's like, you think all these men are out there like saying, oh, you have to look, a certain way. And I turn it around on them and say, you don't look like that. Like all those hot guys on TikTok, girls.
no,
That's not the average.
Never date the hot guy. Never date the hot guy is my theory. But interestingly, it's not the men that are difficult. It's the women. Men do not have difficult, unrealistic expectations of women. They are so they are flexible. They're open to dating other kinds. Women, oh, I won't date bald guys. He has to make this figure. Women are the most difficult clients. And we're actually we're very leery about taking them because we know their expectations are unrealistic.
Yeah, really interesting.
So it's the women out there that are the difficult ones. Men are not looking for picture perfect. As a matter of fact, they're tired of the fake and bake. They're tired of, I hate to say this, but Orange County has a lot of those women. Scottsdale has a lot of those women. I get a lot of men who are like, where can I find the more like Katy? And look, I get all that done. I get all this filled. I get it all done, but it's how you get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also your spirit of why you got it done. Like, I feel young. I want to look young. But I see these girls who are 30 doing it and they look like they're 45. They'll be in my database. I'm like, oh, she's 45. I scroll down. I'm like, oh, she's 32, but she has so much in her face. She looks like a 45-year-old trying to be 32. It's weird. It's weird. But men are not that picky about it. They really want a girl who can go hiking and dress up at the same time. It's got to be both, ladies. And some of these girls are like, well, I don't go hiking. I'm like, yeah. So, they're lost.
So I talk about the divorce diet a lot. Like when you're going through a divorce, a lot of times you just emotionally, you can't handle. And it's usually a time where people lose a lot of weight, but if you turn that into a motivation to really work on yourself, your soul, then this divorce diet works for you to just get your sexy back,
Yes.
The other thing about moms, and this, Katy, you said it already, is that when you're a mom and you're in a marriage, you just put your head down and take care of everybody else.
Yeah.
Being on a diet is really, really hard because half the time I'm scrambling to figure out what I'm going to cook my kids for dinner. And it's usually the, tacos or the, they like chicken nuggets or whatever in the fridge, and I'm putting those in the air fryer. And of course I'm popping a couple in my mouth because I don't want to have to sit down and make a salad or whatever. And, what I've realized though, is that was causing me to gain weight and causing me to feel bad about myself. And so I have a health coach right now, first time in my life that I've ever done that, but he recenters me to realize that, Jill, you have to take care of yourself. So if you make that for your kids, great, but here's some really great ideas that you can eat that make you feel better. And sure enough, just those simple little tips. I've lost 15 pounds and I feel great about myself. Just like you said, I feel so good about me and my, how I feel, and so those are just some things you can be doing out there to just feel better.
Yeah.
And feel more confident.
I always say, because when you value you, other people will value you as well. And Bingo. Before dating with Katy, I was Fit Chef Katy. So I was the chef and the trainer. You saw that in my bio. And I used to always teach this too, that every 15 minutes is 1% of your day. And for the food part, I used to have this thing called 3, 2, 1 done. Recipes in 15 minutes or less, all healthy, all focused, very easy. Cause I didn't work in corporate America, but I used to teach corporate America cooking classes, and I could just see their faces going, shaking their head. I don't have time for that. I don't have time for these long, complicated recipes. So I was I used to call them the cheater methods. Guys, I got cheater methods for you. It is okay to cheat for this, so that part of eating is important. But for me, and this is one thing I learned, healthy eating is key, but working out, I think, is the motivation to eating healthy. And a good workout is, you got to be sweating, breathing heavy, or sore the next day. And, you might have to pay, you got to get to your piss point, but you always should pay. I always say, pay for what you want your ass to look like. Right? And believe it or not, I'm going on a cruise coming up, and I know how to work out. I know how to use a weight room, but I hired a trainer for my butt to look better on the cruise. So I paid a lot of money for 10 sessions with this trainer. He's fabulous. And I'm like, is it better? Is it better? Is it better? Because when I put value into it, I will do it.
Yeah.
So
that's my nemesis. I struggle working out. I don't have time. That's my excuse. I make that a lot.
But every 15
Um,
minutes is 1% of your day. You got
I know.
something. And
I know. My
there's
health coach says the
always
same
something.
thing. Y'all speak in the same language. And I'm like, okay.
Well, and I want to say too, my 7 Steps to Sexy is a masterclass that I have on Instagram. All you have to do is subscribe. It's $10. It's cheap. But like chapter 3 is sexy is in your sweat. Because it really is. There's something about that glow that like, I did this for me. Because there's no, I mean, you do it for other people. Ironically, when I was a trainer, when you'd ask women, well, why would you like to have a trainer? Every woman would say, for health purposes, I want to be around for my grandkids. I want longevity. You know what every man would say? This one's great. So every guy, when I said, why are you hiring a trainer? They would say, because I want to look good naked.
Okay.
Which I love. I'm like naked with the lights on, right? Like who doesn't want to do that? And look, at the end of the day, I feel better about myself when I'm spray tanned. I feel better about myself. There's lots of things that we can be doing as well. It's always not just the physical stuff, but again, it's the deeper work on the inside of confidence, and it's of kindness. And those are very, I mean, in this market, in the dating market, confidence and kindness goes a long way too. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I love this. So part of your, your coaching or what you teach is how to be the best first date.
Yes.
And what's funny is not a lot of us probably can say we've been on a lot of first dates, right? I've been married 16 years.
It's been a while.
I haven't been on a first date for a really long time. And I can tell you all about my husband's first date, but that was the last. So like, if I was to like go into this new, I wouldn't even know what to do,
Yeah. And that's why I teach on all these things. And it's interesting, in my first 25 podcasts, the first 10 are about the foundations of dating. Are you even ready? Like, let's talk about that. And then from 10 to 25 is all about online dating. And I do, even though I'm a high-end matchmaker, I'm very expensive. So I do promote online. I think there's great people online. You just have to sift through. But going through, and there's numbers for that. Women can swipe on 30 yeses. They'll talk to 10. They'll go out with 1. I mean, it's a crazy, for guys, it's more. You have to swipe on 50 to talk to 10 to go out with 1. So for guys, it's a tougher game. And the thing is, you have to be memorable. Like, you have to walk in and be the girl that he's like, wow. Even your online profile has to be memorable, because he just swiped through 50. Are you the girl in the red dress? Or are you the girl with 3 friends around you? And he's like, no, don't even know who she was. Like, there's so many nuances to it. It's like a job interview. Are you the one that they're going to be like, yeah, that girl with the red blazer? Yeah, she was on fire. She was smiling. Even when I got a job as a trainer at Equinox, I didn't have some fancy degree. I don't have a kinesiology degree. Of all the women, and all of them were younger than me, I was like the oldest lady in the room in this big call. I got hired. I was the only female they had picked. And because 2 things, the manager said, Katy, you smiled and your outfit is on point. Because I knew that Equinox is a hip. I wore like a leather puffer skirt. It was super cute. A peplum skirt. Like, I was stylish too. All these other girls were like workout clothes, or they just didn't get it. And so I think accordingly, you have to date like that. You have to know what you're going into. You always have to be you, but be your best version of you. Again, it's that 2.0, it's that upgrade. And men, I'm not just speaking to women here, by the way. Men, I have a perfect first date outfit for men. Always perfect. And most guys will be like, I don't want to wear that. Gets the girl every time, though. Every time.
I love it.
Dark blue jeans. And I'm talking dark blue. None of these, like, there should be no stitching in your jeans. A little outdated.
No bedazzled, guys.
Yes. I like, guys or women, no more stitching in your jeans. It should be dark blue. It should be fitted. A lot of guys wear big clothes. It makes you look fat. Even Oprah wears very tight clothes because it makes her look thinner. Please wear fitted. Please get them hemmed. And I always like to say, I'm not asking you to wear skinny jeans. Okay. No woman wants to see skinny jeans on an older man, but at the end of the day, like, we want to see the man package. We want to see it tight and fitted. Like, you want to see our backside. Like, we want to see the man package. Like, your jeans need to fit you. They shouldn't be these frumpy dad jeans. And you can ask Billy. I went on a date on Bumble with this guy. He was great, but I looked at him on the date saying, like, what's up with your outfit? Like, are these dad jeans? Did you seriously wear dad jeans on this date? And he laughed and he kind of blew it off. And I'm like, no, I'm serious. Like, don't ever wear these jeans again. I'm giving you free advice. And he was so cute. He's like, well, what should I wear? I said, dark blue jeans. And then the next thing is a crisp white shirt. Show me that you can handle just a crisp white shirt, a button down crisp white shirt. And honestly, a blue blazer. I'm a believer that people should go on a dinner date for a first date. And a lot of people say, I don't want to spend the money. Fine, do drinks, but it needs to be in an ambiance that kind of exudes a little bit more, like love and romance and just excitement and chemistry. Everybody talks about, oh, there's no chemistry on my date. I'm like, yeah, because you went to some dumb restaurant. You went to a sports bar.
Right.
College still, like, if you vetted that person well enough during that week or two of chatting, and you're like, yes, I want to go meet with this person, then guys, spend a little money, enjoy her time. Ladies, take some time to dress up, look beautiful, wear high heels for Pete's sake. You'd think people would do this, but it happens a lot. And I watch a lot of dates when I'm out and about. So it's really important that you create that atmosphere of chemistry and make that happen. Otherwise it just doesn't. And so,
right. Interesting. Just the difference of dating now too, like to when I was dating, like MySpace was just like a thing. Like so now, like what I think is interesting. And again, I'm like looking at my brother's situation and I'm like he's talking to so many girls and like trying to go on so many dates. And I'm like, why do you got to go on so many dates? It only takes the one.
Yeah. He should vet a little bit better, I would say.
He needs your help. I'm going to seriously we're going to talk after this.
He probably needs to get his wiggles out though. I do believe there's a season and this will happen.
For sure.
They're excited about dating again. All their buddies are like, dude, are you out dating again? You're going to get it tonight. And it's like, the good guy's like, no, I'm not. And the good woman wouldn't even give it over. They date the younger girl. It happens, let them get it out of their system. I mean, I've seen women go date younger guys too. Like, okay, fine. Good luck with that actually going anywhere. If it didn't work for Debbie Moore, it's not going to work for you. I mean, I'm just not a believer. I'm a believer in the 10-year gap. 10-year gap, or if you have the same picture frame, which is like life season. So, I have clients here, they're 55 and they have an 8-year-old, so you kind of want to date someone who's got a kid that age. I mean, I have a gentleman, he likes me, but his kids are like 10 and 8 and all my kids are out of the house now. And I'm like,
no,
I couldn't. It's just a different life picture frame. I don't want to go soccer games on Saturday. It's cool, but sorry. So, one of the things is too, on being the best first date, your brother's got options. He's got a lot of options. But people need to be interesting. A lot of boring people out there. They're not curious about anything. And I always say know a little bit about a lot of things. Mm-hmm. So for example, for women, know guy stuff, like know about golf, know about whiskey, know about cool old cars. You don't have to know a lot, just a little bit. Mm-hmm. So for example, when a guy's like, oh, I played golf this morning, you can always say something like, oh, well, what was your par? Mm-hmm. And then he'll talk and talk and talk and you look smart. Or, was it a scramble? Like just if you can have one tidbit, and even talking about whiskey or some sort of liquor, or asking him about what he knows. Oh, tell me about that. Tell me about F1. Like, who's your favorite team in F1? I mean, my son could talk about F1 all day. I take what he teaches me and I use it out there with clients. I'm like, oh yeah, that F1 race in Dubai that's coming up, and your client's like, oh, this girl knows. I'm like, I only know because my son told me, but I don't that. Yeah. I look like a curious bird. And I think people have lost that. And you have to get it back after kind of a dead marriage. A lot of people leave a marriage because it's just kind of it went to die. So you've got to get that life. And you talk about that in your book, like go back out. You have like chapters of what to do, right?
Right. Because I wanted to write a book to help people understand that divorce isn't the end. It's just the beginning. Yeah. And it's a platform that can be used to become a better version of yourself. And most people going through divorce don't recognize it. But every time I talk to somebody that has gone through a divorce, such as yourself, they have been able to take, their experience and they've been able to make it into something amazing. And I mean, for most people, some people don't. Some people choose not to better themselves. They victim blame, they play the victim. And so then they just go into another relationship that's horrible and they're just in the same repeated. So, that's what I do, why I do the show every day. And I talk to people like you, because I want you to recognize that this is the chance for you to do something great. Yeah. And if everybody getting divorced is working on themselves to become better people, wow, that's a lot of humans becoming, something that's worthwhile in this world. And so I said, that sounds like a pretty good idea. So I want to talk about your 7 steps to sexy. What are they?
Yeah. Okay. Well, real quick before we go on from that, I will say that my theme to myself, I always have like sound bites in my life. I've done enough TV that it's like cute to have a sound bite. So when I was going through my divorce, I would say to myself, my life is harder, but I'm happier. Okay. So keep that in mind. If you are going through the divorce, it's probably going to be harder, but you can create a happiness that wasn't there before, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's you 2.0, but it's also not, some people, oh, it's a new chapter in your book. No, it's a whole new book.
Mm-hmm.
Like the sequel. Like you don't even have to like close that book and start a new book. So be encouraged. So 7 Steps to Sexy is all about my frumpy to fabulous story. Like when I started realizing I was a really good date, I thought, what is it that I'm bringing to the table that these other women are not? And I think I also really struggled. Now I was married to a pastor. So the idea of sexy was for those other women. I would look and I would judge and I'd be like, oh, shame on them. But deep down, I would kind of be like, oh, I want a little bit of that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna get my sexy back. And I felt like I definitely lost it in marriage. And then when I came out of marriage, like how far is too far in sexy? Obviously there's OnlyFans, people are like, Katy, doing OnlyFans. I'm like, ew, that's disgusting. Like that's not sexy anymore. That's disgusting. So, and I mean, if you want to
can make a lot of money doing it. No judging.
Motivate me. Changing lives motivates me. Right. So that's the point, is like, I had to find my parameters of what now sexy was going to look like in my life. Cause it could be whatever I wanted. And I love to dress up and I love sparkles, and my ex was not into that stuff. So I, again, acquiesced and kind of lost my backbone. But, so 7 Steps to Sexy is that process that I went through. And I mean, the first thing is confidence, getting your confidence back. And cause I always say you can't con confidence. I mean, you could pretend for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
you can smoke and mirrors that, but it really has to do with the record. I've done a lot of, deeper work, and I'm not a therapist by any means. So I always tell people to maybe go listen to, I've been doing To Be Magnetic. Lacey Phillips does a great job of showing you like your neurons and how it's firing. It's this, you need to rewire that. So it's the record player, the record's going on right here, and it's keeping the same song over and over of how you're not good enough, you weren't pretty enough, you didn't do this right. And you literally got to take the record off, break it, and go put a new record on and rewrite that record. And so that's the beauty of creating your own 7 Steps to Sexy. And so confidence is the very first thing. And you know what? You got to be good at what you're good at. So that's my thing too. I remember I was a cross country coach, and our number 1 runner was phenomenal. She was a great runner. And every time you compliment her, she'd just be like, eh. I'm like, girl, be good at what you're good at and own it. We're not all good at running. We're all good at something. And I'm good at a lot of things, but I'm not good at math. But just own what you're good at, and then go get good at it and get the confidence back. I mean, how would you suggest to your clients to go get confidence back after date or after marriage?
I talk a lot about bringing your power back within yourself. So like a lot of times in marriages, we daily designate responsibilities. And so we don't feel confident in like money finances because we gave that all to the man, or vice versa.
Right.
And, or I've never worked because I've been a stay-at-home mom, so I don't feel confident in that. So we talk about bringing our power back and stop making excuses to what we can do to recognize that you have value.
Yeah.
Whether you've been a stay-at-home mom or not, you can work just like you're a hustler. Like, you are valued in so many companies in what what you can do, organization, time management, all this amazing stuff. And so take your power back to control that. And, because a lot of women, they'll say, well, I just want alimony. Utah's a very highly alimony state. I just want alimony. And we talked to him a lot about you depending on alimony is like a huge mistake, because your husband might be a jerk, quit his job, not want to pay you. He might die. He might lose his job because, of the recession. And therefore you are completely relying on him just giving you money every month. And it's never going to be just that easy. Second of all, you're never going to get as much money as you think. There are so many attorneys that will fill your head with lies, thinking that you're going to get so much of your husband's money. It's just not going to happen. Unless you're like Kelly Clarkson and Brandon Blackstock, but those are like the anomalies. Like,
they both come from, when I think you're so spot on about that. I know for when I got divorced and I was finding jobs, one of the biggest things I did for myself is I went and traveled by myself. So we had lived in China for 7 years with 3 little kids. And so I'd done the back and forth trips, and 3 kids, a husband, boxes. I was bringing Yankee candles with us. And he's like, why are these so heavy? I'm like, be quiet. If I'm gonna live in China, I'm gonna have a good candle. But, there was a point where he was doing all the visa work. Like, he did all that. And so when I got divorced, I actually booked a trip to Paris by myself on I had my kids till 10 in the morning on Christmas morning. Then they went to their dad's. Then I had a plane at 1 o'clock to Paris. And I was in Paris by myself for a week. And I had to do everything. I had to ask people, like, to get from the airport to here, like, how do I do this? And it was phenomenal. Now, I'll be honest, I learned something. I don't love traveling by myself. I really like sharing it with somebody. And so I travel a ton with my kids. So I took that love of travel without my ex-husband running it to me, to then doing a ton of travel with my kids. We have traveled extensively, and I'm in charge. Let's go. We're like, they're like me with the little ducks behind me. And it really empowers me. And people go, wow, you've taken your kids everywhere. I'm like, yep. And then another thing is I empowered my kids and I to start doing a lot of hiking. And you know what? Your kids talk when they're hiking. They're not on their phones because there's no cell service. We go places and find hikes. My daughter and I, we were visiting her brother in Berkeley, and she and I went on an 8-mile hike and just talked life, And so those are the things, like, I didn't do them with my ex-husband, but I got to do them because I wanted to do them. And I remember implementing hiking when they were little, and they hated it, right? They're going to, So we always did it on Mother's Day, and they couldn't complain on Mother's Day. So, and now they love it. My daughter worked at a hiking camp all summer. She was river rafting and rock climbing. Like, I see it now, like the things that you get to become the kind of parent you want to be. That's one of the benefits of divorce. I'm so grateful. And my kids they're like, Mom, you wouldn't have been the same mom if you were still married. And I'm, for that, I'm grateful.
But I want to point out that we talk a lot about the bad marriages on this podcast, but the good marriages, which there's just as many good marriages as bad marriages, are those marriages where they understand the value of what each person brings and they elevate it. They're secure in what they're doing. And so just remember that.
Yeah. That's good to hear, because I'm going into round 2. Like, I want to get remarried. I believe in the institution of marriage. I believe in the safety of it. Like, when you date someone for a long time, but you're just like, is this going somewhere? Is it still not going? It's on a woman's heart. That's a lot of anxiety, believe it or not. And it seems like you're trying to keep it cool. Well, I'm just trying to be cool. We're 5 years in. It's no big deal. Really? But and I want it to look like that. I love watching happy couples now. I have a couple, Ron and Lisa, they have a podcast too. They are so adorable. I love hanging out with them. I'm always like, put me around happy couples, and a lot of my friends have met guys, or, I said, change your age range. My best friend just got married because her age range was too small. She was only dating like guys 3 years older than her. I said, no, you need to go up, 9 years, 10 years. And she's like, no, I'll do 9 years. And that's the guy she met. So, she just got married, and it's fun to watch her and her husband and see what they're doing right. They're going to marriage classes. And so I am a believer in good marriages, but it's work. I don't believe it should be hard. There will be hard times in life, but it's work. It's consistent work. And I was just talking with my 21-year-old son today and just said, you can get comfortable in a marriage or a relationship, but don't get complacent. Very different things. And I think that's, people go back to that complacency. They get a little lazy. And, again, it's the difference between nagging and sharing my need. Like, how does a woman, you're going to have to do this in any relationship. How do I say, babe, I need you to plan more dates so I feel special, without sounding like you're nagging, because again, every man's like, oh, that sounds like my ex-wife. She's nagging at me. And you're like, no, it's just every woman.
It's the ability to communicate. Communication is key. And like, if you can't communicate in your marriage, you should learn to communicate after your marriage, because communication will get you ahead in life in every single aspect.
Yeah.
And I think it's crazy how, as human beings, we are naturally not born to communicate. Obviously you can see that babies, they can't talk. They learn how to communicate from their parent. And if you don't even know how to communicate with your kids, how are you going to communicate with the spouse? How are you going to be able to eventually, and so communication is key. I always feel like everybody that gets married should take communication classes. Like, you should be coaching on what it means to communicate. And you're right. Like, if you're nagging, it's because you're not able to communicate the words that your spouse needs to hear. Right. Because guess what? Sometimes we have to talk differently. We have to have different expectations. We have to pull back on what we're saying. We have to simplify it to make our spouse make or have our spouse hear us.
Right. You know, one of the things I always teach too, you can listen all day to somebody, but did you hear her heart? It's usually for women, like, and women like don't throw up on a guy. I had a client once, I set her up with this great guy and I wish I said, you should have just texted me every frustration you're having with him rather than throw up on him. She literally sent him a text with 17 things he was doing wrong. And most guys look at one at a time. And I always say, keep the main thing, then have an example and then have a bullet point on how to practically fix this. You know, I'll give an example, like the guy I'm dating, he's not a hugger. He is not a toucher. It is not his natural inclination. And I love hugs. I've trained my children to hug me. Like my kids are like, okay, mom's here. We got to hug her. And so we literally, so that I can feel my need met, we have a quota every day of 4 hugs. And I would love to think it would just naturally flow out of him. Like he would naturally want to hug me all day long. He just doesn't think like that. It's not in his nature, but he thinks he's super thoughtful. Mm-hmm. He takes care of so much. He will order food when I've got a busy day. I mean, he does so many other things great, but we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater so fast. It really is true. It's such a disposable dating society now that we're like, next. And I'll be honest, I was part of that in the early stages, but I also knew that I wasn't fully ready to date because I was committed to my kids. So that's one thing I really recommend. I mean, right now I have a client and I'm kind of going through some stuff where it's like blending families. That's a whole nother topic, girl. You should do a whole season of blending families because I have a client, she's super successful. She met this great guy who's got 2 little kids and then a not so happy ex-wife who is just telling the kids crap and and these kids are telling her what the mom said. And who wants to move into a relationship like that though? So those are the big questions. Like, you're a great guy.
Some people do it, especially women, if they need financial support. They're like, I'd rather, the money's worth it. The financial support's worth it. And you're like, I mean, so hard. It's so hard on that. And you get into the life with those 2 little kids and then you decide to leave again because it becomes too hard. Think of those kids and how hard it is. So I always say you have to stop. All of those couples should go to therapy and coaching before they even think about.
Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with anybody going to therapy. I especially try to encourage every man. They have this stigma, like, I don't need it. Look, everybody needs therapy, especially men, because they don't hash things out with their buddies. It's, us girls, I called 4 girlfriends yesterday because I had an issue and I needed some clarity. And of course, 2 said one thing and 2 said the other thing. So I'm like, and I'm on this team over here. So I'm like, okay, now I don't know. But I know most men don't have that. They don't have anyone to walk it through with them. And, EQ is a big thing right now. The EI, the EQ, the emotional quotient, emotional intelligence. Women are like, where are these guys? And you say this, if you've gotten a divorce, go get some of this, the emotional intelligence of, just because you're a badass in the work world, a lot of these men are CEOs, and this is happening now to the boss babes of the world. They're great in business, but what is useful in business is not useful in a relationship. And you cannot transfer that same mentality. The guy I was dating, he can so easily make decisions in that world. When it came to us, it would take him like a month to make a decision. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, get your emotions a little bit quicker here. Like, I don't want to wait for a month for you to figure some stuff out. And I think that was hard for him. And, it's something I asked him, can you work on this? Can you get a therapist? It was one of those like, and sometimes you do give ultimatums because it's like, either you get a therapist and show me that you're going to have a growth mindset, or you don't.
It's interesting because as I own my own business and stuff, I mean, I really struggle with this as well, because in my business as a boss, I can't have emotion. Decision has to be made pragmatically, like, because I'm a very emotional person. And I realized really early in my career, me getting overly angry at an employee doesn't go so well. When you get overly angry at your spouse, usually you can have a cooling off and then, but employees don't have to take that. And so I have noticed that I've gotten to a place where I can be very pragmatic, very non-emotional in my decisions for my business, which is probably why it's grown so much. And I have employees that never leave and, value me and respect what I do. But coming home and then needing to be like, emotional, or, I mean, my husband tells me all the time, like, stop being a lawyer, please, or like, I have to remember to show up vulnerable. And sometimes I will go months where I feel just fine. I think things are fine. I'm just like taskmaster getting everything done. And then my husband's like, all of a sudden I'll just have this wave of emotion, and my husband will be like, and I'm like, oh my gosh, so like, I totally can see how that can happen. But, just like you said, like consistently in my marriage, I'm having to continually work on myself to ensure that I can show up in this relationship, even after 16 years. And that's what's going to continue probably to make our relationship successful, is because I and him are always checking to see, okay, where are we going wrong right now that we need to stop? We need to realize what we need to be doing for ourselves so we can show up for each other. So anyways, I just love that, what you were saying.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I saw this on an Instagram thing once, that if you total the amount of money a couple would spend on date night versus the amount of money they would spend on a divorce lawyer, it would still be less if they just did date night weekly than a divorce lawyer. And it's those little things of you've got to make time, you got to make space for each other, you've got to be reading books together. I mean, my ex-husband, I was always the one reading a book, and it starts to get old. You're putting in the effort and it's not coming back. And so effort has to be mutual. I mean, there's a lot to it. And I'm curious, like, what would be, from the outside looking into the singles world, what would be your recommendation to us?
After a divorce, I would definitely say, okay, you need to find your happiness. You need to be fulfilled. But then I would also, I want people to remember, like, as human beings, we want companionship. We don't want to be alone. Right. But that doesn't necessarily have to be with a partner. Like, not being alone is in a lot of different ways. And so, you focusing on your kids, I mean, you showed up for your kids more than you probably ever could show up in your marriage, because you were just trying to survive something that was bad. I say that all the time. Like, a divorce can give you the opportunity now to show up in ways that your kids never knew real mom. And that's special. And when you're able to do that and have that relationship with your kids, showing up in, your employees, your friendships. I can't tell you how many people that are divorced and they're like, I don't really have friends. Yeah, because you've been so focused on like just surviving. So now we're going to put our head up. We're not going to be treading water anymore. We're going to go out into this big wild world, and we're going to see that there's a lot of people just like us. Yes. That are yearning for companionship or friendship from you, that you have qualities. So I also say that the last thing I always say is, don't jump into a relationship.
Yeah.
Like, take time alone. Like, I live in a very, very high Christianity state. Utah is very prominent Mormon, which means that you can't have sex unless you're married. And I'm always like, okay, maybe that was when you were young, but no, like, sex is such a big part of your marriage. To know if you're sexually compatible, it's a huge issue in a lot of the divorces I do, because they're like, we've never been sexually compatible. And I was like, no wonder, because you don't get married, you don't have sex till you're married. So all of those things need to be talked about, you need to be like comfortable in that before moving into the relationship. And once you're able to like be confident in who you are, not need companionship, but want companionship. And then be able to stand on your own 2 feet, be able to support yourself, support your family financially, emotionally, physically. The relationship's just going to make it so much better.
So interesting about the sex thing. I just did my podcast 30 was about sex and dating. And it wasn't the fun part of it. It was like the reality of it. Like, when do you do it? When do you not? And in my 7 steps to sexy, last chapter is sexy women give good sex. Mm-hmm. And again, I grew up Christian. Nobody talked about it. It was taboo. And, there were some issues behind that. So I love that you bring that up, because that's true. There is some truth to all of that. And I want to touch on something else you talked about. This whole idea, though, of I don't need no man. I don't need no man. I don't need a man. I hear women say it all the time. I get it, but that's different than saying I'm in a good space right now, and if a great guy comes in, I'm happy to receive that. Because if you keep saying, I don't need a man, you're not going to get a man, because your subconscious is actually telling you don't need a man, and you're so independent, and and a lot of women will say to me, well, Katy, I make a lot of money. And no man cares about that, by the way. They really don't. A good man is like, I got you. I don't need you to go be my, equal finance woman here. So just be a receiver to men. I think that's really a big thing right now with this women and, gaining power. And look, I can find that when I start making more money, I kind of feel like, even with the guy I'm dating, I'm like, like I'll almost jump ship because I don't feel like I need him in a sense. So we have to be careful of these mindsets a little bit, because we are better together is what you're saying. We're better in community. I mean, iron sharpens iron. So go find a church, and I always made new friends. I made you think those single moms at school, all the moms are 10 years older than me. I'm a very young mom. I'm 46 and all my kids are out of my house. So I was the cute young mom who just got divorced. You think those
I'm so jealous. I have a 5-year-old and I'm 40.
Oh my gosh. But enjoy it because it goes fast and then it's gone. And then you're like, oh, okay. And then they're busy because you raised independent adults and you're like, dang, I did a good job. But, I went and I made friends. I made friends everywhere. I was like, you seem cool. I literally will say this. You seem cool. I would totally hang out with you. Can I get your number? And I would meet up, and all my best friends are random from different groups, and we all hang out together, and they love it because everyone's unique and brings different things to the table. And you know what? Single moms and single dads are looking for other singles. It's really it's a hard time. So seek those out, and use your community too. I know when I was a single mom, I needed help. I had 3 kids at 3 different schools. I needed help. Find your village. Ask the married moms. Ask the people who are a little bit more secure in their timing. They have more free time. They're not quite so strapped as you. Ask for help.
I love that. Oh my gosh, Katy, this is amazing. We could just go on and on and on, but this has been such a fun podcast. I would love my listeners to be able to find you. Where can they find you if they're looking
Dating with Katy? It's all across the board. It's Katy, Dating with Katy on YouTube, on my podcast, and on Instagram. And I do master classes on Instagram, so those are definitely more in depth. Those are the fun courses. It's a great deal. It's like $10 a month. I mean, you can't beat that. It's like it's cheaper than a bottle of wine at Trader Joe's.
Oh my gosh, I love it. If you're hosting like a Dating with Katy like webinar, or you're doing like a YouTube live or Instagram live just to talk to singles about questions about dating, I would love to join you, just because perspective from a divorce attorney, I feel like would be fun.
Let's do that. Every Monday, I actually do my live at 5 on Instagram. So yes, let's have you on the live at 5. And I love live at 5s because people are typing in. And then I also try to do trips for singles. Everyone's like, Katy, where are these 20%ers? Where are the people who are these 20% that you speak of? And I'm like, I know them all, but they're scattered. And so I have a trip coming up to Mexico. I did it last year, which is 8 random people. I was like, I'm going to Mexico. If you want to join me, I'll see you at this all-inclusive. No, there's no expectations. It was not like a hookup thing at all, but it was just cool people traveling with other cool singles. And then we actually have a trip to Tuscany that we have planned that we're going to be hopefully doing in July. So it's all on my website. It's on my Instagram. Link tree. You know how it is.
I love Tuscany. Under the Tuscan Sun is my favorite show of all time.
You gotta love it.
So anyways, this was great. Thank you, Katy, so much. That's another episode of No One Dies from Divorce. Make sure you remember you are worthy of happiness and you can get there. Every week, we're here to give you the little tips and the little nudge that you need to recognize that. So till next week. Thanks, Katy.
Thanks, you guys. Bye, Jill.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed, please subscribe, follow, and share. I'd love to hear your questions and feedback. You can contact me at community@jillcoyle.com. See you next time. I am an attorney, but I am not your attorney. Any advice given on the podcast is general and shall not be construed as legal advice.